morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for August 14th, 2025. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Thursday, everyone. Here's a look at the ES in the daily time frame. Right now, the market is awaiting PPI and Core PPI data, in addition to initial jobless claims here prior to the RTH open. That could provide another round of high volatility action for this market, similar to what we saw on Tuesday. Now, Monday, we were looking for Tuesday's action to give us a pullback, perhaps into the previous session's low, and then we were looking for a snap to the upside with perhaps a stop run day. We got almost every single bit of that except for the prior low. We didn't quite get as low as the prior low. How do we handle that today? Do we get to the prior low? If so, any price below the previous session's low could be a buying opportunity for another continuation to the upside. But very similar to Tuesday here, do we even get that low? Does inflation data, PPI, core PPI, initial jobless claims, does that come out in a way that the market receives it in a bullish fashion here? That would lead to an upside push through the highs and likely for a stop run day beyond those highs. So right now, looking for an upside continuation until proven otherwise. Until we get that next secondary strong high to match this high, we're still kind of grinding up with a bullish upward bias until proven otherwise. We also have the potential to see a high range day today. Right now, only 18% of ADR, 18% of average range right now going into the RTH open. But this market's been averaging 80 points per day on a 10-day basis, 62 on a 5-day basis. So the expectation for today is another day of about 80 points. Can we get 80 points of range today? Maybe 100. 80 to 100 points of range. That's what we talked about on Tuesday. And Tuesday we got about 78.75 points. So do we get about 80 points of range again here today? Again, if we find that early strong low, look up about 80 points. You have yourself a really strong target for the day. Now looking at the NQ here, similar price action. Only 18% of ADR here as well, 17.77% of average range. That's teeny tiny range, and of course we're not going to finish the day that way. This market's been averaging 374 on a 10-day basis, 270 on a 5-day basis. The expectation here again is for another day of about 350 to 400 points of range. That's what we talked about for that day right there. And we got 357.5 points of range. So we got right in that window of 350 to 400. Do we get that again today? That's the expectation, between 350 and 400 points of range. And if the low is in, 400 points of range is going to take you to 24.3. 24.3 would be a 400-point day, or just shy of that by 50 points for a 350-point day. So again, do we get that upside push? Keep an eye on that midpoint right there. That could be fodder for an upside push in new highs. Can we get that new low first? Basically, can we get something like this here where we take out the low, take out the mid, take out the high? Great 350 to 400 point day. Can we get something like this here cooking today? All right, looking at crude oil. Crude's up 0.4% right now. And again, it really hasn't found its low yet. It continues to drive lower. It has given some good intraday lows here and there, but they haven't been strong enough to really keep prices from finding new lows down below. These strong intraday lows, they've been relatively strong on an intraday basis, but nothing strong enough on a daily chart basis. We've also seen the inability to rise back above 64s. The inability to rise above the previous month's low, and then we continue to grind lower with lower lows, lower highs. That is quite bearish here. We haven't really found our stride. Have we left behind 64s? Is the next pullback into 64s a selling opportunity for 58.20? So this market, as we've noted, has been kind of held down. Gas prices low, crude oil prices have been relatively low all year long. It just has trouble going higher right now. So any pullback likely could be a selling opportunity until proven otherwise, until we get a strong low. And we haven't quite found that low yet. Does it go get that 58.20 and fill the FOMC key level from May 7th? That's something we're going to have to watch out for, especially with a lack of a strong low. Looking at gold futures now, this thing is about break even on the day, slightly lower by 1.4 points. Doji-like day, sideways action, back at its happy place. Its happy place has really been about 33.50. It rallied away from it back to about 3,400 and sitting. This is about par for the course here lately. It's strong up, but then a backfill off the 3450s, off the 3500s. We've talked about this now for months. This market just hasn't been able to find any acceptance beyond this zone yet, but we are building the energy for a massive move at some point. Now, do we get that breakout relatively soon for a move here? Do we have to drop hard first before we return back to 3,500? These are two scenarios here that could still be in play. But anything right now really between 3,300 and 3,400 is just chop. Chop, chop, chop. Right in here. That's 3,300. That's 3,400. There's a lot of chop in here. And we're right on the cusp of that. So if we fail here, we drop back to 33. Maybe back up and we continue to chop it out. But be patient with gold. At some point here, we will get tremendous expansion. Looking at the YM right now showing really a super quiet range. 18% of average, 103 points. Look at this tiny bar right there. Barely registers on the PivotBoss Advanced ADR indicator. This thing, super compressed. We're not going to finish the day like this. Now look at this day one breakout we called the other day. Inside the range still, and bam, we got the true 2-day range breakout. This thing looks tremendous. We've mentioned before that at the very least we could be looking at a 45.4 to 45.5 target for an expanding range here as this thing goes up. Maybe it comes back down and we continue to range. Or if we bust through 45.5, this thing is going to see more elongation to the upside, which has been about what we've expected lately out of this market. Big time rotation here, compression, big time rotation here, compression. This is the beginning of maybe the next big time rotation. So we could be looking at a tremendous continuation to the upside. We have 47K as a big time upside target. We're currently at 45K, and off the lows we were looking for at least 3,000 points of range. So are we about to make a big time push through that zone? Again, through 45.5, 45.6 will open up that area. Because right now we could go up here, then come back and build it out and then go. But this is looking pretty solid right now. So very strong. Now for today, find the morning low and look up about 500 points. You're going to have a really good solid target, 500 points up, maybe 500 to 600 points. But 500 points. The last couple of days have been over 500 points. Do we get another one of those here today? 500 point range from the lows of the day. That could be significant. That could get us to 45.5 today alone. So we will see how PPI comes out and influences the market soon. Looking at Bitcoin, this one's down 1.6% here. Another strong reaction here on new all-time highs. 125,200, 125K now as the new all-time high. To this high, you're seeing a series of decent reactions up here. But we also continue to see price probe into those areas. And despite strong selling tails and things of that nature, we're not seeing that selling pressure lead to actual weakness. And that's what we talked about before. Even if that did lead to a little bit of a correction here, it wasn't going to lead to much more than maybe a 110 to 112 rotation. And even that rotation could have provided an opportunity to bring this thing back up. Now for today, this market remains bullish overall. This is what we look like at the moment. Come, early data here, and we could be looking at a completely different bar by the end of the day. So this market remains strong. Any pullback, still a buying opportunity. We're still looking for this thing to rotate into 130s and perhaps even higher moving forward. Looking at ETH, man, this thing just put in another new high here, 48.25 half. Now, One thing we mentioned to our trading room yesterday, it wouldn't be surprising if we woke up to new all-time highs today in both Bitcoin and ETH. ETH just off the all-time highs. All-time highs right on here in the 4,900 level. Today we got to 48.25 half. So this thing is still stretching. Today is the day we get all-time highs in all likelihood here in ETH. What a move, especially from 1,400. The continuation for a quick double. The retest off 22 for a continuation into our 44,000 to 4,200 zone. But this has by far exceeded expectations with the drive through 4,000 through 4,600. 5,200 would be our next key level up, and then 58 beyond that. So this is big time. And like I've mentioned before, even if this thing rotates into 4,000, we could get that next lift into 5,200 and beyond. So how are we going to respond today? We'll see. How do we respond to new all-time highs? There could be some initial profit taking, but if so, again, 4,000 could be the next opportunity for a continuation up as this thing continues to mature. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out here heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.